Welcome to No Crime, No Time. I'm RD, also known as Danny. And you are seeing a blacked out screen because this is your blackout. I encourage you to do your own research. I prefer that you don't take anything you hear, see, none of it as the truth. Just simply go in, do your own research so that you know it's not what you believe that you go on. So today I want to talk about quite a few things. I want to touch on Deb Cash, the coroner. I want to talk about Eisenberg, the anthropologist, who I refuse to say the word doctor in front of. It made me choke. I had to pause a minute. I also want to talk about this assumption that we make in this case with Stephen Avery. So a lot of assumptions are made by you and I. The assumption that she's dead, the assumption that the killer is the same person that cut up the body. I mean, there's a lot of assumptions made here. And so we really need to discern that this isn't a normal case, and so we cannot make assumptions. And I feel like the prosecution relies on assumptions, right? Now, let's just get into this a little bit. Let's walk this theory that the killer is not the same person that disposed of the body. And why would that be? Follow me on this. There's a reason. Because if the killer wants to cut ties with having to ever worry about the body coming back on them, they need to be able to frame a suspect with this body. So, what if the killer can't get back onto the property of the suspect that they want to frame? So they've made the kill, and now they're working with the body, and they want to frame an individual. So they're targeting a family, if you will. So they're going to place the body as close to the property as they can get without getting discovered. This is where, in my mind, intuitively, I keep following to Cuss Road. Now, if the body is found at Cuss Road and the target is already set in place because it's a national known thing, Stephen Avery is going head to head with the state of Wisconsin in suing one of their counties and the employees that were on duty as law enforcers, those that are there to serve the community, being paid by the county, being paid by the state. The little brother to the state is the county, right? Stephen Avery's being targeted by them. And this victim leaves that property and is killed, murdered. Had to happen quick, right? Or did it? Did it have to happen quick? King Kratz made a comment one time that as far as he was concerned, Teresa Halbach could have been alive up until, I can't remember the date he said. I think he said as late as I don't even want to quote. It was late. It was like the 10th of November or the 9th of November or something. That has always caused me to pause, to really think about how many assumptions we've made in this case. And it could knock a step out of some of our sails to really look at this in a different perspective. Are we assuming so much that we're putting the cart before the horse? And is there a dark horse of the devil is in the details. Have we this timeline screwed up because intended by the killer? Let's talk about Cuss Road a little bit more. You may hear my pages turning. I'm actually making notes as I do this. Everything initially was mentioned about Cuss Road was the November 8th, 11/8. But yet, when we do the paperwork, we can look back as early as, I believe, the 6th of November and see Bushman clocking in. Early morning. Is it possible that they did find the victim at that point? Bushman was one of the original arresting officers in 1985 with Herman, Robert Herman, and the sheriff at the time, Peterson. It really makes you wonder if Bushman would have overlooked a specific detail or two that led him away from who he had in his sights, which was Stephen Avery. If he would have been impartial and looked at the body and done a full investigation properly, and would the others, is it possible that if a body was found on Cuss Road, they would have come up to point the finger at a completely different suspect? Could it have been somebody that had a meeting with her scheduled and met her at a set place, murdered her at a set place, and then deposited the body close by? Could they have premeditated this to just be like, hey, meet me at Cuss Road? Or would they have just simply talked to her on the phone? Because there's deleted messages on her phone, right? Could it be that they were like, hey, you want to meet me? I need to talk to you right now. And she was like, well, I'm at the Avery residence. How about we meet on this little place at Cuss Road, and I can see you there. And this is where she gets murdered. And therefore, her body and the RAV would have been deposited right there. And then how do we go to a cut-up body spread all over? Oh, well, let's walk through a scenario. Hey, Earl, you were on the inloader? No. Wait, let me back it up. Let's start off with the body. So if you've been following these blackouts, you'll understand without a great amount of detail into this theory that it is possible that the LE had their thumb on some people at the Dassey Avery residence at this point, because nobody has an alibi. And she was last seen at the Avery residence, according to all the reports, right? She allegedly was last seen there. So let's see who all that points the finger to. Oh, you got it. Steve Avery, of course. Bobby Dassey. Brendan Dassey. Earl Avery. Chuck Avery. Barb herself, the mother. Barb Janda, who's now known as Barb Tadish. Oh, yeah, Scott Tadich. There you go. So look at all the different... Bradley Scheck could have easily met her there. Ryan Hilligus could have met her there. Scott Blodorn could have met her there. It's possible she was a drug informant working for the DEA, and that it was a side sting. And it can point the finger at a lot of people that can be used by then making them, by association, using the Denny law in reverse. It includes them as a prime suspect. Were they in the area? Did they have contact with this victim? Did they have access to this victim? Do they have an alibi? No, they don't have an alibi. Could they have been there? It's possible. But none of them are any closer to her on Cuss Road than Stephen. So now we've got to reverse engineer this, if we're the cops, to make this Denny law point at Stephen. And how do we do that? How do we ensure that each one of these people play a significant part in consistently showing that Stephen is the only one to look at? You feel me? Ryan, there's some calls on this woman's phone, and it's right at the time she goes missing. You're the ex-boyfriend. You're at her house a few days prior. You have the day planner with her handwriting on it. We're going to make sure that we're not going to investigate you as the killer as long as you play the part we need you to play. You're going to lead the search team. And then they're just going to go ba-bum, 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 ba-bum. And they're going to go right through the party, right? But it gets to that point where somebody's got to cut up this body, which makes me think that the one that has the most known opportunity other than Stephen to have harmed this girl would be Bobby Dassey. And that's when the joke supposedly is made by Stephen, allegedly, which is impossible, about hiding the body. Why is it impossible? Steve Avery was arrested and put into custody and taken to jail on 11/9, November 9th, with no outside contact to the entire world. Bobby Dassey perjured himself, stating that it was November 10th that Stephen Avery was standing in the Dassey garage while they were cleaning a deer. Do you want to help me hide the body was the joke between him and Mike O. There's always truth to every lie in my belief. Is it that Bobby Dassey is talking to Mike O? Do you want to help me hide the body? Legitimately? Think about Ken Kratz. He made a comment one time in social media that is just, it's daunting for his position as the prosecutor in the case of Stephen Avery to make the comment that there is nothing that says she was actually not killed until somewhere much later in November, as far as the 10th of November. It was somewhere around there. Don't quote me on the date. It might have been the 8th or 9th or 10th, but he pushed the date way out away from the 31st. Right? So if Bobby Dassey is cutting up a deer on November 3rd, and they report the deer on November 4th, and we find an arrow on Cuss Road, was it that they were cutting up a body, and then with law enforcement starting to snoop around, they poached a deer to register the next day? Is it possible that the entire murder scene of blood was actually on Cuss Road and that deer blood was used to cover it in some way? Or was asphalt? You know, asphalt's something tricky because DNA scent can be covered up with asphalt. Remember how like the cadaver dogs hit on deer camp back door and lead to deer camp, hit on the back door and then hit on Cuss Road, and then they're told, the handler and the dog are turned away because it's, quote, an unrelated crime scene. So who's cutting up the body doesn't necessarily have to be the same person that murdered her, nor do they need to know each other. Because in this theory, the killer could be someone that just loses their shit with Teresa, that has lost their life over her, their wife, their kid, their sanity, and they can't get her to be with them. And it gets jealous, and it gets vengeful, and it gets hot and heated. And they drop her right on Cuss Road. Would the police go after that person? Or would they be more interested in clearing a $36 million debt and just start using the pawns? Bobby, come here. Here's what we did, okay? We've replaced your hard drive with Ken Kratz's hard drive. In court, it's going to look like yours. Let me tell you something. This is some sick shit. You're the only other person than Steve Avery. We could easily make you an accomplice. But we're going to get you. We see you. We're out for your... Think of us as a father figure. Okay, Bobby? We have a problem. There's DNA on there that's not Stevens. It's of the real killer. They put the body down there on Cuss Road and the car. We're going to have you push this. We know. Yeah, no, listen. Listen to us. Listen to us. We have to get rid of that car because it's got the killer's hands all over it. So what we're going to do is Sherman P. Herman over here. Yeah, you're going to be Dottie. You don't know shit. Anyway, this vehicle's going to get brought up. You're just going to put it really close to the crusher. We're going to say Steven did it. Don't worry about that. We'll get the details taken care of. You're going to have to get it up there. I don't care if you got to get Pa. I don't care who you got to get. But if you don't do this, you're going down for her murder. We'll put it on you. We'll make you an accomplice. I guarantee it. Now, here's what we also need. We've got the body. It's got the killer's DNA on it. Now, we're going to give you a good cover story. It could be that, you killed a deer. You may have to get it to Scott Tadich. He knows how to cut up a bear. Just saying. In this theory, he's an informant. And he's there to help you and guide you how to do all this. Yeah, I know. He's not real happy about any of it. But he was going to prison, and so he's taking the deal. That's how we work, people. So you're going to cut the body, and then you're going to have to burn it somehow. Well, what I would suggest is Scott works at the smelter there. Get him to put it all in the barrel with you and take it up there and dump it there. I'd throw the whole damn barrel in, honestly. But it's up to you. Yeah, Bobby, you're in a mess. Hey, Earl. Yeah. So here's the thing. We got no body really here. We don't. But yeah, you're looking like you were down here in the gravel pit, right? We need some help hiding that car and making sure it gets up there. So once Bobby pushes it in place, you're going to have to use that end loader there. Yeah, you're going to, yep. Yeah, the cadaver dogs are probably going to hit on the car, but we know it's not her DNA or anything because it's a replacement. It was a car that had been in an accident. Yeah, you can see where it, yeah. So just plant the car using that end loader up there by the crusher. Yeah, and then we won't point the finger at you, but otherwise, you're also an accomplice because, you're hunting in the area. We'll just say that this person was shot with a 22, and yeah, that'll work. Hey, Scott Tadich. I hate to bug you. I know you're doing your best here. I know you hate us. Yeah, I know you're really not liking this position that you're in as an informant, but it beats going to prison for life, right? But you're gonna have to help Bobby. Yeah, you know how to cut up a bear. Hey, keeps you out of prison, right? Whatever keeps you free. Hey, you're gonna get a house out of the deal. Nice car. You're gonna be fine. Yeah, you just gotta keep her quiet. Keep her, numb so she can't really put this all together because obviously you're losing your shit behind the scenes there. So keep calm. Right? So if this all happened, you really need to disconnect that the killer truly cut the body up because it's highly likely they didn't, truthfully. I want to touch base with a little bit about Deb Kakach, or Kakach. She's the coroner. She's barred from the property, threatened to be fired when she's actually got more legal standing to identify this body than any law enforcement there. And she's held off because they state that she would be a liability because of conflict of interest due to the fact that Stephen Avery is suing the county. But he's not suing the county. He's only suing certain individuals that work for the county, and Deb Kakash isn't one of them. So the story just doesn't hold water. So why can't Deb truly see these bones? It's almost as if she might know something, right? Interesting enough, she was the original person, the original coroner to handle Carmen Boutwell, right? It's just strange to me that the two girls died so closely and Deb Kakash handled both situations or would have handled both situations. And there's that connection. Or is it that Deb would have known that these bones were cremated? That they weren't normal bones with tissue on them that she would see as a coroner. It's just that she would know too much. She wasn't in the pocket, if you will. Eisenberg, on the other hand, the actual anthropologist that handles the bones, right? She doesn't get the bones till 2 days after Carmen Boutwell's cremation on the 10th. So Carmen being cremated on the 8th, and then Eisenberg on the 10th. And so you have to look at it and you go, what are we assuming there? I just feel it's very possible there's a disconnection between the body being disposed of into this pieces, if you will, and them being the same person that did the killing. But I'm going to leave you with a weird thought, something to think on. Why did they need an ophthalmologist to respond to the evidence that they found in that field that's quite a ways from Avery's? Did they find an eyeball? I don't know. It's just always bugging me. But this is getting way, way too long. So I love you to the moon and back.